On today's video, I actually have the benefit of having with me on the channel a seven-figure internet marketer. Justin Spencer's made $1.3, $1.4 million, something like that, over the last couple of years. And as we get through this interview, you're going to find out that actually I talked him into launching a product with me for less than $10. I don't know why he agreed, but I'm happy that he did. And the idea with this interview is we're going to tell you about the product that we have coming up, but then we're also just going to have a conversation, talk about different marketing stuff. So first of all, I'd like to give Justin an opportunity to introduce himself. So Justin, can you tell our channel what you got going on?
What's up, dude, or dudette on the other end over there? Yeah, absolutely. So what I've really just been obsessed with the last 5 years was, creating financial freedom for myself, which I was able to, fortunately do at a pretty young age. I was about 21 when I really started hitting my stride doing the whole internet marketing thing. I know a lot of people turn to the internet to, as a resource to, structure a life and design their life and to obtain and acquire financial freedom. And I was able to succeed at affiliate marketing. And what I wanted to do after succeeding at affiliate marketing was learn other basically business models that I know that I could succeed at, and then maybe eventually, teach and, mentor. So what I'm all about is, designing the lifestyle you want without having to kill yourself and break your back to maintain that lifestyle and to maintain that income. I have on my YouTube channel, I'm all about, no BS business advice. I talk about finishing things. I'm talking about knowing your identity to align yourself, and I talk about mindset a lot, the mindset of champion or, winners. And I'm not all just like hypey, hoorah, motivational stuff, just really basic, fundamental things that are simple to understand and apply. So, I'm all about results. The name of my company is Get Results. And, what I really do is I help other people generate more leads for their businesses, get more sales for their businesses. And I teach and train upon these processes as well. And I've kind of just been obsessed with that, obsessed with anything related to, success in business specifically. But I also, it's always fun to study and, learn things that have to do with success in other areas like relationships, your health, etc. But
I think that we have a decent amount in common because I also firmly believe in the whole lifestyle business idea, because if you're just focused on just making money, then it's kind of like, what's the point? You need really both of those resources to live a meaningful life, because if you have all money and no time, you can't enjoy that money. And if you have all time and no money, then poverty can lead to a lot of issues as well also. So it's really nice to have both of those resources working together. The other thing I really like is the mentorship aspect, because when you get the opportunity of working with people, it's not just about building your own wealth, but you're also building incomes and you're improving the lives of the people that you work with, right? So I know that you've been doing mentorship for a long time, and that's actually, I was following you for many years now, and I've seen kind of the success stories of a lot of your students on there. What would you say, what is the success rate of the people that get into your coaching? Is it I know that for sure, because I do mentorship myself, and the reality is that not everybody has the capacity to be successful. You can give them the whole blueprint on a silver platter, and they still won't be able to follow through and take the action that they need to take to get there. But what kind of likelihood is in their mentorship program, and what are some of your good success stories that you have from the people that have gone through with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I love this question. So I always like starting off with contrast. If you examine the statistics of people who succeed in business in general, it's staggering. Offline and online business owners, like they say something like 90% of all businesses fail in the first 5 years. I think that the statistics are probably even worse for people who want to make an online business work for them, because that's the problem. Their mindset is they want to make the business work for them instead of working for the business to get it somewhere. But for my mentoring program, it's structured way differently. And my entire focus has been to get people tangible results. So I would say, based on like the number I have in mind, I think it was like around 40% of the people who step into my program within 4 to 5 months have done substantially well, and the other 60% usually are still in the process of getting the results because they haven't done everything they need to do yet to achieve those results. But so far I've worked with over 130 people in my high-level mentoring and consulting community, and I have 85 success stories, which is a lot higher than 40%. But I don't count some of those success stories in the figure I gave you, because a lot of people made back way more money than what they invested in me to help them, and then they went on and did different things. They got into different business models and business channels. They started like e-commerce stuff. They started doing other things, which is great. And it was a win-win for them because they gave me X amount of money. I helped them, dramatically multiply that, and they just, wanted to do something else, which is cool. So I don't include those. So I would say 40% of people have been still doing it. I've had this mentoring program that we're discussing for 3 years, and I still have people who started with me from day one are still in the business that I do as well, and are doing very well in this. Those are the people that I would say who stick with it long term. Those are the types of numbers or statistics. Some of my top success stories that come to mind are someone like Sean Pope, who did $25,000 per month in top-line revenue on his 4th month, which is exciting. Chris Pambos from Australia, in his, I think it was right after the 4th month ended, beginning of month 5, he produced $20,000 in revenue, 50% profit, $10,000 in profit for that month, which is very cool. And he had been struggling for 7 years before he met me and decided to kind of let me take him under my wing and show him how to avoid all of those landmines that it's easy to fall into when it comes to this stuff. A couple other success stories. Armando Rendon, a very cool guy from Mexico. He's done astronomically well for himself. I really can't take much of any of his credit. I taught him a few simple strategies that I teach all my high-level mentoring students, and he took off and became like a superstar in several different aspects or channels of the industry. And he's crushed it. I have no idea how much he's made at this point, but it's multi-six figures. That's for sure. So those are probably 3 of my top stories. Another one comes to mind, Richard Kaur from Singapore. Within the first 60 days, he had 10,000 subscribers on his list within 2 months, and he grossed over $5,000 already in sales, just getting his foot in the pond, so to say. And I have 40-something case studies like this on video, and then I have 50, probably 45 to 50 that are not documented on video. I just had a guy join 2 weeks ago who already made $400 in profit 14 days after joining, which was really exciting. And all I did was I taught this guy how to line up a couple of deals when it comes to the email and solo ad business, and you can already be in profit very, very rapidly. So yeah,
that's really awesome. It's good to hear about success stories. Actually, a while back, I think it was about 4 or 5 months ago, I got in a conversation with you on Skype, and it wasn't even coaching. We were just having a friendly conversation. And what the value that I got out of that short conversation actually caused me to be able to increase my business by 25%. I don't even think I've told you that before.
Oh,
but
awesome.
Definitely really cool the impact that you're having out there. And it's really important, the value of mentorship, whether you pay for it or not. And I think that Ty Lopez gets a lot of flack for a lot of things. I actually think he has a lot of insightful things to say, but he always harps on the idea of mentorship. And whether that's reading books, whether that's watching videos, whether that's getting coaching is the ultimate form of mentorship that can probably get you the best results in the shortest amount of time because you're actually working with somebody. But the value of mentorship is obviously immense. When you started, did you figure things out on your own, or did you have a mentor like you now provide to other people to get you from the beginning to where you are?
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, great question. So my first 12 months online were bitter and a lot of struggle and not much to show for it. So my first 12 months online when I first started, learning this stuff 5.5, 6 years ago, were pretty awful until I found a mentor, a guy who, I lived in New York at the time, and if I wanted to succeed at affiliate marketing, I had two jobs, going to college, full-time girlfriend, full plate, and I wanted to leave college, but I couldn't do that. I was about 18, my second year in college. I started a little early. And it's dude, this isn't for me. And what ended up happening was I found a guy who lived in New York who was making about $100,000 a month at affiliate marketing. He's very good at it, very humble. He had been at it for 7, 8 years. And then, so I actually had him mentor me. I paid him a good chunk of money, put it on credit cards. Best decision I had ever made. Because 6 months later, I was making 10 grand a month with 6,000 of that being net personal income doing affiliate marketing. And it was because I modeled him. He showed me exactly what he did to create success for himself. Applying very simple strategies. I'm sure you've heard of SEO, affiliate marketing stuff, and different niches like credit score and credit repair monitoring and stuff like this.
And he was, and sorry to interrupt, but he was making, you said, close to 100 grand per month?
Yeah, he's making 100 grand a month.
If you don't mind, who are we talking about?
This guy's name is Ben. His name is Ben Moskal, actually. He's a super cool guy. He's taught a lot of people affiliate marketing. He, has had the ups and downs that life has to offer in terms of his success, but he was someone I highly respect. And from day one when I met him, he's definitely one of the guys who created the first major turning point in my life. I was actually the business that he kind of showed me the ropes with. As it pertains to affiliate marketing, I was actually able to sell to a local investor for a huge chunk of money. before starting my solo ed business, which was really cool. But yeah, so his name is Ben Moskal. He's predominantly, I think, focused more on real estate, the real estate side of affiliate marketing as we speak. But super humble guy, super cool guy, my first mentor. And yeah, so to answer your question, mentorship is huge, dude. It saved me so much time and energy. It was like the golden ticket to.
That's awesome. Actually, like there's a quote on mentorship that I really agree with that said that education and mentorship can be expensive, but it's often a lot cheaper than what it'll cost you for the mistakes that you make on your own. And I definitely think that's very true.
So true.
I actually have more the cautionary tale of I didn't get mentorship, and I don't say that to brag. I almost say that with regret, honestly, because I started like 7 or 8 years ago, and I spent a lot of my like 5 or 6 years, like a lot of my early years, not getting very many results at all.
Yeah.
And so I did end up figuring it out on my own, and it is possible to figure it out on your own, but it's probably going to take you a lot longer. And if you think about all the money that you could have made if you had figured it out right away, to get for somebody to give you a step-by-step blueprint. As far as when you're providing mentorship to people and you're getting them to get to the next level, how much of it is about the actual practical step-by-step stuff that they need to do, the roadmap? How much of it is the mindset that they need to get into, would you say?
Yeah, no, excellent question. So I would say that the way I see things is it's a two-parter because most people know what they want. They can go, oh, I know what I want. Yeah, great. And most people have a pretty solid, clear idea of why they want it. But it really where I see the disconnect is in the mindset. The disconnect is the moment someone gets frustrated or they feel overloaded or overwhelmed, they tend to procrastinate, second guess themselves, have doubts and uncertainties. And I, for example, have experienced these things even today at my level because I'm always challenging and testing myself. And I always want to bring my stuff to the next level, and I love taking risks to see the rewards and the payoffs. But what I see for anyone who wants to take their life to the next level, if their goal is $3,000 a month online, $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, whatever, the biggest area that people really need to manage is their emotions and their thoughts and the way they think things. So here's how thinking works. Like you read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and there's a lot of good information in that book. It's all very practical, applicable, integratable into what you do. But how I see life and how you could, if I was going to give you one success tip to cling to when it comes to mindset, it would basically be you have to reframe everything in your mind. The moment you feel frustrated or overwhelmed or impatient, you have to reframe this in your mind and come up with a valuable reason why to continue to finish things. So I think people don't succeed because they don't have someone behind them that has the beliefs that they're lacking. Because if they believed that if they would just finish, they would be so much happier than they would finish, and they would actually be so much happier from finishing. They would cut through and persevere through the frustration and the overwhelm. Now, when you have a mentor who's already walked that road, and he's like at the end of the finish line, just kind of waving you forward to come to the end, it's like 1,000 times easier because that uncertainty and those doubts go away. It's like this storm that you're in when you're halfway to success in any business, and then the storm happens, right? Waves are crashing, you feel like you're on a sinking ship because of these emotions that you have because you just truly don't know if you're going to be able to make it to the end and actually get the result you want. And when you have that mentor, that light, like it's almost like the U.S. Coast Guard coming to come on, we're right here, just swim to us. And that's kind of like the analogy with business success. Like for a lot of people, I see what stops them, they don't finish what they started is because they're overwhelmed and they lose track of things and they get distracted by social media, by CNN, and it's just tough. It's hard unless you have someone by your side.
Hey, I think that's an insightful answer. What I think that I like off of that is I totally agree with the delayed gratification part of things, because you say like if you don't have somebody that's super successful that's saying, hey, this is normal, this is fine, like you'll get there, just keep going, this is where you should be, it's like you shouldn't have big results, you're just on the way to big results. That's really helpful because delayed gratification, a lot of the research is showing now, is one of the most important skills towards success. And this is actually one of my favorite research studies. It was called the two marshmallow experiment. And what they did with grade 1 students, so they tested this, is they offered grade 1 students, they said, hey, like you can have this marshmallow because we know that you want this marshmallow. Or if you wait until the end of the day, then you can have 2 marshmallows. Well, what they found from that experiment, they did a cohort study. So they tracked the people when they're in grade 1, and then they tracked them later in life to how successful they became. The people that chose to wait till the end of the day to get 2 marshmallows, that was a more accurate indicator of success than grades in school, intelligence, or any other metric.
Yeah.
So it's like a non-cognitive skill, like you say, managing your emotions, a non-cognitive skill like being able to delay gratification is even more important than your thinking ability. That's insane.
Yeah, it is. Like what it means is you don't have to be a genius or you don't have to be intelligent really. You just need to, be patient, which is a superpower. Even a little bit of patience, and just what. And how do you become more patient? Is there a philosophy, to becoming more patient with your success? Well, yeah, do your best to enjoy the process. Do your best to truly, enjoy what it is you're doing, and it'll make the process go faster. Have you ever heard the phrase like "time flies when you're having fun"? Well, if you try to have fun on your way to reaching success, time will fly and you'll get there seemingly way faster. Still the same amount of time, but it takes you weeks, months, years. But it won't feel like weeks, months, or years when you're doing it if you actually like it. And I've seen that with a lot of entrepreneurs that I've networked with. Everyone has different beliefs and philosophies about how to succeed at business, but bottom line is if you are at least patient and you are even partly committed and you're just willing to finish things and you just accept the fact that there's going to be rainy days. I mean, there's going to be days where you don't really feel like, being a warrior, and you don't have to every single day to succeed. You can be a warrior 3 days a week. The other 4 days a week, you can be like a warrior for part of the day or not at all. And you could, as long as you're, making progress and you're going on the right track, you can go at your own pace. Some people love to work 7 days a week. I know very successful people who outwork me. They can work 3 days a week and get 10 times more done than me if I were to work 7 days a week because they love the process more and they fine tune their strategies to become more effective and they've learned to duplicate themselves. So they have other people kind of handling things as well. And I've started to do that process and it's very rewarding. And but yeah, that's really like the key to
that's I definitely think that was like the main takeaway from the 4 Hour Work Week, which is a book that so many people love.
Yeah.
Where he says that if you actually took the list of things that you do in your business or whatever, and you actually put a value in how important they were, you'd be totally shocked at how few of the tasks that you do are actually really that important. So what I found with my business over time is that I've gotten much better at just doing the stuff that's really important and not really putting that much time into the stuff that isn't that important. Like the last few months, I've done almost nothing because I've been vacationing pretty much the entire time. But I'll still, like, every once in a while, I'll pump out a YouTube video because I know that that's, for the amount of time that I put into it, that's going to have the biggest amount of impact. Right. So I think it's really important to be patient. It's also really important to be efficient. I know people that put hours upon hours upon hours to business and they get barely any results because they're putting so much of their time into stuff that isn't really all that impactful. Right. The question that I want to ask you now is moving on to the practical side of things. You hear a lot all the time, and I've been hearing it for years, that list building is dead. Do you think that list building is dead? And why or why not? Why do you think that people think that? And what do you think the actual state of reality is?
I think when you're a marketer and you say list building is dead, I think it's an excellent angle to get somebody's attention and then sell them something else like SEO or affiliate marketing or something. But the funny thing is the guy who's telling you list building is dead is probably telling you that to get you to join his list. So you see like the bittersweet irony of it all. Nothing is really, most things I think in life are never really, when it comes to business, okay, the market's dynamic and it can change, but I don't feel that list building will ever die because it's something that's been around way before, it's been around for centuries. There's been different forms of marketing, direct response marketing, from gathering people on lists. Way before the internet age, there were different types of lists that people, it's just all it is a list of people who might be a good fit for a product or service. That's never going to die or change. If you're building a list with solo ads, Facebook traffic, YouTube traffic, Google SEO, it doesn't matter. The traffic source does not matter. If there's people who raise their hand because they're interested in your opt-in bait or the free offer you had to get them to join your list or whatever your initial angle or promise was, there's always, to an extent, room to nurture that list, develop a relationship, no matter where they came from. and to get them to want to buy from you. Everyone who opts into a list is a potential buyer, because think about Amazon.com. Everyone goes there now to buy stuff. Even older people, the baby boomers who are in their latter stage of life, go use Amazon to buy stuff. So if you're selling a digital product or service, there are people who are all potential buyers. The only reason they wouldn't buy from you is because they didn't connect with what your message was. So it's not a list building problem; it's a messaging problem. People lose track of what the most basic fundamental needs and desires of people are, which is to have more security, have better health, have more money in their bank account, work less, make more. It's not hard to understand people, and it's not hard to get across in your message the values to influences. But people overcomplicate it because it's easy to overcomplicate things. It's human nature, right?
So is a big part of your focus when you're doing your email marketing on trying to relate to people as much as possible? How do you increase your conversion rates when you're marketing to people?
Oh, absolutely. So what I really do is I like to put, Robert Greene calls it the thumb screw effect. I like to find, in my email marketing, I've studied psychology for such a length of time now. I pretty much have a handful of the most likely reasons why people don't make changes in their life and what's holding them back. And a lot of it, of course, is mindset. Some of it is physical environment and stuff like that. But so in my email marketing, the way I study different angles, right? Frank Kern, one of the renowned internet marketers, talks about different angles. I study different angles or approaches that you can incorporate into your marketing to influence people, and it's very simple. And it's as simple as basically just understanding a templated structure, how to get X without Y, how to increase your sales without having to advertise or spend more on advertising, how to build your list with other people's money, how to build your list, for free following this strategy. So that's an example of an angle to influence, because it gets people's attention from a marketer standpoint. And you're like, okay, show me what you're talking about. And then you reveal something that is very useful, and they want to buy from you because you've already started delivering value by showing them something they don't know. So when it comes to converting people, it's all about testing different angles. Like another angle would be exposed. How Justin Spencer, did X, Y, and Z within 30 days without a list, a product, a brand in an industry he knows nothing about, yada, yada, yada. So that'd be another angle that's attractive and will pull people in. And that's when the conversion process begins, because you're already adding value by, storytelling, and that's how the influence starts. Another angle would be, I'm a man on a mission. This angle would be like, it is my mission to help 100 people who are currently living paycheck to paycheck, put an extra $2,000 a month in their bank accounts, following the strategy of solo ad arbitrage. And this is something like, what's that? What's that? Well, let me explain. Okay, and I could go on and on. I know like 10 more angles I can share with you. But the goal is to sell your product or service, testing different angles. And it might take your fifth angle to sell the same product or service before you finally get through to different people. This is how the marketplace works as a whole. You know what I mean? So conversion, think angles, approaches of ways to pull people in your influence, get their attention, stuff like that.
So as far as your business now, do you make use of systems? Like, do you have you basically tested different angles, tested different ways of communicating with people, and come to sort of like a best version for like a testable hypothesis sort of a thing, where you have your stuff that's converting the best right now, and then you're constantly split testing? Is that the way you work it? Do you have stuff in place?
Absolutely. I know what angles definitely work best for me for my top line products and services. Absolutely. There's certain angles that I test all the time. I'll test new angles constantly. And anyone that is on my team that I work with, my copywriters for certain things, my virtual assistants, I have people that help me fulfill certain major services that I offer in my business. When it comes to them, I do the collaborative, collective efforts of looking at their opinions and feedback too on certain approaches and angles, because when you have that collaborative effect, it is, oh my goodness, it's gold. So, but yes, the short answer to the question would be, I know some angles that have worked very well for me the last 4 years to really use as a tool of influence for people. But I'm always testing new angles constantly in my email marketing to see how we can get more people kind of over to our side. Absolutely.
Would you do you spend as much time in your business now as you did when you started, or is the amount of time that you put into your business gradually gone down or increased? How is that gone?
Sure, absolutely. So I kind of follow like this effect where in the beginning of the business, you're putting a ton of time in because you want to see the results, and then you get the results. Then, I'll go through scenarios where I'm in the mood to relax, and I'll just relax for a while. Then I'm in the mood to work, I'll work. And then I'm in the mood to relax again, I'll relax for a while. And a while could be like maybe I'll take it easy for a couple of weeks. Then I'll get back at it, and I'll go back and I'll hit it hard. Like right now, I happen to be in a state of mind where I'm just really loving work. I don't know what it is. Like I've relaxed for a little while. 2016 was such a big year for me. It was my best year yet. So I felt like I kind of gave myself permission to just chill for a little bit and just, kind of, watch the big picture and relax and enjoy life. And then, to the start of 2017, for whatever reason, I've got a fire like right under my ass, and I have huge goals, and it's so fun for me to chase those. It's so fun for me to make more money, to make even more money. It's just to impact, influence even more people. So I'm just at a point where I'm working hard because I love the growth associated with it. But I don't really need to. I don't need to work, but I love doing it. And that's what it goes to telling you, the tip I gave you earlier is to really try to love doing what you're doing. I was talking about identity. Like my identity, I see myself as like the ultimate problem solver,
I think that people are addicted to progress, right? Like we're designed to enjoy rewards. And
definitely.
The more you get rewards, you get that dopamine release of getting further in your business. And it becomes like a fun game at that point. It's not like you need any more money for survival at this point after making $1.4 million online. You could easily invest that money and not have to do anything again, but it's kind of nice to keep growing still anyways, right? So
oh yeah, no, the feeling of putting in a hard days of work is really incomparable to a lot of things. Like if I just have some days, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm that guy who I do like to go on the beach or go snowboarding or skiing, drink a margarita on the beach with some salt around the rim, or a nice cold Corona with a lime, with some guacamole and chips, and just hang out with hot girls. And I've done that, and I love doing that. I'm a guy, who doesn't want to do that? If you're a guy watching this, you're like, dude, sign me up. Hell yeah. I've done that, and I love it, and I'm going to continue to do that. But like right now, I can't explain it to you. I can't explain it to you. It's just like when you're a man and you you can produce results, and even though you made good money by most people's society standards, but you can do more. You sometimes just get so connected to your work, and you just love it. I call it the Will Smith effect. Like Will Smith's worth $200 million, and he's still putting out movie after movie after movie, and they all are like box sellers. You know what I mean? I call it the Kanye West effect. Like Kanye's worth $200 million or $150 million, but he's still producing like the best stuff he's produced. I mean, Kanye's don't be like, oh, I'm telling you, like people who love working. You know what I mean? I'm kind of trying to feel that effect.
I'm a Yeezus fan. He does put out good stuff. I'll agree with that.
Yeah, I like it.
His last album was actually my favorite of the bunch. Actually.
Yeah, the Pablo. Life of Pablo.
Yeah,
I think it was. Right?
What's the most amount of money that you've made in a day?
70,000 net.
70,000 in one day.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yep.
Tell us about that. How did you make 70,000 in a single day?
It's just a matter of all of your projects lining up at once, and you're just producing a lot of sales. I mean, I do a lot of high ticket stuff, so things can just line up like that. I mean, I spend a lot of money on paid advertising as well. Sometimes you have days where you get a ton of leads, and then everybody buys. So that's how it can work. So
even with the stupid amount of money that you make online, do you ever go through stretches where you lose money? Because you obviously spend money on advertising and stuff.
Oh, absolutely. No, there's some days where I can lose thousands of dollars in advertising, but I know that by looking at my history, that the entire month's going to be super profitable. It's just basically like understanding a cash flow spreadsheet is all it is. But yeah, I have days where I might lose, some money.
Did you always have the confidence to throw money at advertising, or is that something that built up after you started to see results and stuff? Because I imagine a lot of people watching this are kind of, I know I was in the beginning anyway, scared of the fear of loss for us for the human species, is a lot stronger than the fear of gain. They've actually tested that, like gaining $20 as opposed to losing $20.
It's like Superman versus Batman. I love Batman, but you can't, if you don't have kryptonite, you're screwed. You're not going to touch Superman. The fear of loss is way more powerful. So how did I overcome that? Well, you don't do it in one day. You overcome it in baby steps. You overcome it over. It's a timeline. It's a pattern of developing the right beliefs, and it's recognizing that if you can spend $1 to make $3, but let me give you an example. If you can understand this one thing, you could potentially be a multimillionaire someday, which is the direction I'm really trying to put my life in, that direction, becoming a multimillionaire. But it's this direction. It's like you might spend $1,000 on ads, and on paper you might make $3,000, but you might have only collected $200 up front and lost $800 for the whole month. So you minus $800 for the next month. You might be at a break even, and the month after that you might have a slight profit, and then the month after that you might be doubling your money or tripling your money, or like on the front. So if you're selling software or coaching or membership sites or marketing services or whatever it is you sell, you just really need to kind of just understand that the lifetime value of someone could be $1,000, but you might not see that money for 4 or 5 months, and it might cost you only $300 to get that guy. And you could be tripling your money on ads, but it feels like you're losing money, and it looks like on paper we're crushing it, but hey, we're actually in the hole. And it's the beginning that is so hard, no doubt about it, because you're just at that point you're operating on a daily basis, going, okay, I'm losing like $500 a day. This doesn't feel very good. This feels fucking awful. You know what I mean? Sorry, excuse my French, but the biggest thing you realize though is like, okay, so month 3, I'll be making from this advertising medium $200 a day. Then month 4, I'll be making $400 a day. Month 5, I'll be making $600 a day. Month 7, I'll be making $800 a day. But most people will turn everything off before they ever let that happen, because it just doesn't. It feels too painful. It's just too painful.
Yeah.
It's like someone's like, yeah. So what it is it's just. It's just you got to have a lot of confidence. That's what it is.
There's definitely, it sounds like there's a lot of long-term value in a lead that you get into your system, for one thing. As far as when you're losing money, even from a long-term perspective, what I've always found is that spending money on traffic is you're not just paying for the actual what the traffic can do for you. You're also paying for information, right?
Yeah,
because when you're buying traffic, that's giving you the information, telling you how your angles are working and all that kind of stuff. I get actually really frustrated with people that message me and stuff, and they're questioning about all these different angles, and they have so much information paralysis that they're afraid to actually go forward with anything and just actually try it, because there's a lot of learning to do in the sort of like pre-game of like studying other people and stuff. But the most accurate, best information that you can possibly have is to actually just do it and then see what happens. You know what I mean? Like, I can give you my opinion of what I think will happen, but it's the actual results themselves that are going to speak clearly than anybody.
Yeah, dude, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, the bottom line is when it comes to business, you just need to do things. Read less and work more and try things. Courses are great, but too many people buy the course because they think they need that resource, when really the resource they need is their ability to have the Will Smith effect, where you're not even doing it because you want financial freedom. You're doing it because you want to prove to yourself that, self-discipline is what you want to be proud of when it comes to your funeral 85 years later. Or, when you're 85 or 90 and you're like, you had a great life and you're thinking back like, man, you don't want to sit there and go, man, I was such a pussy because all I did was buy books and never read them, or all I did was read 1,000 books. And I'm the smartest guy in the world, but also the brokest. So what you need to just realize is, look, you got to develop the habit of loving to work your ass off if you want to succeed at fucking anything. I get so intense with that stuff, but that's what gets people to move. That intensity, that flair, that bite right there.
You think it's a balance though, because at the same time you don't want to discredit the power of knowledge, the power of books, and all that kind of stuff. Like, I think it's almost a balance of, yes, you do need to have the information, but you don't want to get stuck there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
and I guess exactly.
That's the information paralysis. As far as books go, I know that, when you look at most successful entrepreneurs, they will tell you that most successful entrepreneurs are avid readers. They read a lot. They digest a lot of information. Are there any books that you highly recommend, especially when it comes related to business?
Yeah, absolutely, man. 2 favorite books. I've read this one almost 8 times. One of my good role models and friends, Alex Becker, who has a really prominent YouTube channel, super cool dude, owns a couple software businesses. He wrote a book, national bestseller, called The 10 Pillars of Wealth. And the reason I read it so much is not because I'm a weirdo, but like the way he gets across his message, the way he gets his points over to you. His whole book is about the 10 mindsets of multimillionaires and even billionaires. Because he has billionaires in his, a guy who's going to be a billionaire very soon, and mentoring him. And that's one of my favorite books because it teaches you the mindsets of rich people. And it feels very good to hear it explained the type of way he has it to explain it. And he's not somebody who makes all of his money selling books or somebody who makes all his money teaching people. And that's another major reason why I love the book, because he makes all of his money, or like the brunt of his income, selling software and millions of dollars doing that. And I love that because a lot of people who want to teach you how to do better make their money from teaching. It drives me bananas sometimes. It's like an endless loop, you know. You see a lot of, and that's why I love personal development people. Another book I would recommend is by Tim Grover called Relentless. I've read that like probably 5 times. Relentless is about the mindset as well. And you notice like my 2 favorite business books are mindset books. That makes sense to me as I'm explaining it. But the Relentless thing is really just a different mindsets of like superstars like Michael Jordan. And the cool thing is though, you don't have to be in those mindsets 7 days a week. You only need to be in those mindsets for like 2 hours a day, 4 days a week to really be successful in business and online. So if you're watching this going, oh God, to be like Brendan or Justin, I need to just be this ruthless savage who's attacking his goals. No, Brendan just told you he hasn't done stuff the last couple of months, but he's discovered what the minimum amount, the maximum gain for minimum amount of work is. And same with me. I'm not gonna lie. I like taking it easy sometimes, like resting, and recouping and rejuvenating. But for like 2-3 hours a day, a couple days a week, if you're able to get into these mindsets that Relentless and the 10 Pillars of Wealth offers, you'll be so effective for those 2 hours that you'll get done more in those 2 hours than other people.
I 100% agree with that. And actually, Tim Ferriss talks about that, where he says, people have this idea that they just want to make all this money and then not have to do anything. Like they just watch TV or lay on a beach. What they don't realize is that when you get that life, it's only interesting for so long.
Yeah.
Eventually, you get bored of it. Like I've done it. If you're laying on a beach, it's amazing. I mean, don't get me wrong. You're on a beach in Thailand having some cocktails. It's not a bad experience. But after a few weeks, you just get kind of bored. Like, what's the meaning? What's the purpose kind of a thing? Yeah. So you definitely want that balance. And I like the way that Tim Ferriss kind of explained it. It really changed. I think the 4-hour work week, like it doesn't have like a lot of practicality to it. But it's still one of my favorite books because of the mindset changes it had for me. And that was one of the mindset changes, was that he basically just designing the life that you want. So it's like, if you want to spend 2 months to learn how to salsa dance, go for it. If you wanted to spend 2 months learning a new language, do it. And then if you want to come back and actually do meaningful work for 2 months, because especially when it comes to entrepreneurship, not when it comes to factory work, but when it comes to entrepreneurship, like you say, doing passionate entrepreneurship work for a small amount of time can cover a lot more ground than a lot of time when you're dispassionate. 100% for sure. So
I agree. That's the salt and lime and tequila of life, is what you just said, is, knowing how to do that juggle, that balance between working hard and relaxing, and more importantly, doing things that you're really passionate about, doing things that you really, really want to be doing. Life's about opening up your life so that your life's not run by bills, but you have, all these cool freedoms. Like you can be like a big kid again, where you're an adult, but you can behave as if you're a kid, and like the world's your playground type of thing. It's like, oh, I want to learn Spanish, or I want to learn, Italian, or oh, I want to, learn how to snowboard or surf or ski or become better at golf, or learn gambling or learn how to play poker. I want to learn how to go to a gun range and shoot a gun. I want to, do all these different. I want to get a motorcycle. I want a motorcycle license. I want to travel. I want to have a road trip. All these things that make life worth living. Like that's really the end game, really, for, and yeah, I encourage anyone watching this to write down a list of all the things that really matter to you, and be like, yeah, this is my why. This is just a couple of the reasons why I want to do this. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's what it's about, man. At the end of the day.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so I guess before we wrap this up, I got to ask one final maybe question, and then we'll get to talking back about that course we're going to launch in a few days here. I would say let's do it with Lewis Howes does this, and I really like. I don't know if that's his last name, but I really like the way he does this. He just says that if you had to forget everything, you had to get rid of all your accomplishments, you're going back after everything, you have to start over again. and you had to pass just 3 truths to people about what you've learned so far, about what you've accomplished. What are the 3 truths that you would tell people?
Sure. So assuming I get if I lost all of my resources, but I still had my knowledge and skills, the first truth that I think I would pass to people is, you know what you want the most, because humans want lots of things. You want to sleep in, you want to party, you want to listen to music all day, you want to eat 4 times a day. There's all these things we want, physiological needs. We want girls. We have all these competing desires in our brain that are going to compete for battle for our energy. So know what you want the most and write it down, and try to proactively every single day do at least 1 or 2 things that will lead you in the direction that you want to go to reach that end outcome. So that's the one major truth as it pertains to success with anything. The second major truth is, be a student, be somebody who is observant, be someone who is a listener, be someone who sits back and observes and considers and reflects and analyzes, but then go do something after you get done with that part. Because it's a lot of fun doing that. Thinking can be very enjoyable. Thinking can be too enjoyable. Thinking about all the opportunities you have at your disposal, thinking about all the things you could do is a lot of fun. But that's why we go back to the first one, know what you want the most, so that when you are thinking about these different things, you know how to direct your focus and use it accordingly to actually go get something, so that you can have the tangible result, which is what you crave. Okay, so the third truth I would pass to somebody is, know your environment and analyze and see if it supports what you want the most. Does your environment support what you want the most? If you're around people, or you're in a relationship, or you're in an environment where it really zaps your energy, you will never be able to sit down and truly answer that first question, what do I really want the most? Because when you're in the wrong environment, you're never going to have the energy to come up with the right answer to that question, which will change your whole life when you have the right answer to that question. What do I want the most right now? And then when you come up with what it is, and then you come up with, how to get to that point, you got to change. You got to know your environment. You got to change. Those are the 3 biggest truths I feel that have the most weight for anybody's success in life and happiness.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. I agree with that. There's actually what is your main motivation, your main burning life desire that you want? Because what I've found is that you can have everything. You don't necessarily just need to have one thing. But in order to have a completely fulfilling life, you definitely have to have your main thing. So you can have your main thing, and you have your main thing as your main priority, and you can still have everything else, but that main thing needs to be attended to. Totally. And I totally agree with that.
Oh, totally.
Okay, so before we go, I just want to tell my audience that if you want more wisdom from Justin, because he's a pretty smart guy, obviously, from this interview you can tell that, he has his own YouTube channel, so I'm going to leave a link to that in the video description below. You can go check that out. Before we leave the video, I also want Justin to talk about the launch that we have coming up in the next few days. And actually, by the time of publishing this video, the launch will be live by the time you watch this. I want him to tell you about it, and then I also want to tell him to convince you why you should buy this launch, why it's worthwhile.
Yeah, absolutely. So the launch we have coming up is going to be a fun one. The whole focus of this launch and this entire product, the outcome that Brendan and I have in mind is to give you a very good introductory level understanding of the email ad business, the solo ad business, and most importantly, how to build a list at little or no cost, so that you have a major asset that can potentially lead to 5-figure profits on a monthly basis. And you'll be at the point where you have 5-figure freedom, which is actually the name we're going to go with for this actual product, because it's very suitable. So with that, so basically, why should you even consider getting taught by Brendan and myself when it comes to this stuff? Well, we're both live, breathe, and we do this stuff, and quite frankly, we don't need your money. We do this for fun, and we do this because we want to make an impact, and we do this because we like contributing, and it's because it's kind of like a scoreboard. For me, I personally love competing against myself, and I have hundreds of success stories right now documented. People have made millions who've worked with me and have been taught by me and been trained by me, and why not extend that opportunity to you? Quite frankly, I could hire an army, no joke, of people to basically go out and replicate what I've already done in my business 100 times over, 1,000 times over, 10,000 times over, and I truly believe this, would not be able to get the market saturated when it comes to what I do. So that's why I teach this, because I'm not turning you into my competition. My business Is it going to be affected if I teach you my business model and you start making 10 grand a month? My business is not going to go anywhere, and that's why I teach it. If I felt like this was going to be saturated, then I would just quietly generate multi-six figures doing this business model. So that's why Brendan, you wanted to link up with me, and I said, yeah, sure, absolutely, I'd love to do it. Let's provide an awesome course and outline and guidelines so that you can navigate around those landmines. If you ignore this course, that's fine. You can figure this stuff out with my free material, Brendan's free material. But the bottom line is that stuff's very good. And it's only going to get you so far, though. When you invest in this, and it's, the introductory product's going to be around $10 or less. You're going to save yourself valuable time and energy. And plus, it's just something that you owe yourself, So that's really where I'm at with it.
Totally. That's awesome. And I intentionally contacted Justin because I felt like of all the marketers that I interacted with, he would add great value to my audience, was the reason why I got him involved with this launch. I'm actually thrilled that I got a millionaire to create a course with me. That's an awesome feeling. But thanks a lot for coming on the channel, Justin. It's been a great conversation. And guys, jump on this course. It's less than $10, and then you can hear more from us very soon.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.